In my last video, I showed you guys how to stop wasting games when playing tournaments. Now this topic leads me perfectly onto what I'm talking about in today's video, which is going to be how you can get your first earnings this summer. You see, now is a better time than ever to make your first earnings due to Epic hosting so many victory and cash cup tournaments. I'm going to be sharing with you multiple tips for every tournament so you can get your first earnings this summer. If you do enjoy and find this video helpful, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, as I'm trying to hit 15,000 subscribers by the end of summer. Without further ado, let's get straight on into today's video. Okay, so I feel an appropriate way to start off this video is by talking about which tournaments are the best to play in at the moment and which ones are the easiest to make your first earnings. Starting off, let's talk about qualifying to the finals in each of these tournaments. So the easiest tournaments to make the finals are undoubtedly the Solo Victory Cup, both build and no build version. Now this is because the top 7,000 players qualify through onto the biggest region, which is EU, so again lots of people are making the finals. Now talking about the regions, this season Epic made a big decision to remove region lock, something which we've seen in the game for multiple years now. However, they decided to remove it. This now means that you can qualify to finals on other regions, which is especially important in these no build cups, for example, as no build cups aren't massively ping dependent because there is no building and it is mainly focused on your aim. As well as this, Fortnite this season is experiencing an all-time player base low, meaning there are less people queuing up to play each tournament, which in turn is giving you more of a chance and making it easier to qualify through to the finals. This also means in turn that the skill of the players that are getting to the finals has actually got a little bit worse because there is less people playing, so therefore more bad players can effectively make it through to the finals, if that's the best way to put it. Now obviously, because more bad players are getting into the finals, this means that on average the skill in your finals lobby is going to be worse, so you have a better chance, especially if you are a pretty solid player, of giving it a good go in that game and getting a win in both the Solo Victory Cups and the Solo Victory Cup non-build version. Now later on in this video I will go into individual strategies for each single tournament, so how about we get on with that right now. Okay, so let's start off by focusing on what is pretty much the biggest tournament that Epic runs at the moment. That's going to be the Build Solo Victory Cup. Now I do have an entirely separate video up on my channel about how to qualify through to the Solo Victory Cup finals this season, so if you do and are struggling of getting out of opens, please do go and watch that video after you've watched this one. But let's skip straight to talking about the finals. Now I believe there's two different types of playstyles which you can play in the finals. You have passive and you have aggressive. Let's start off by talking about passive playstyles in the finals. Now you can 100% win a game with 0 kills, and that is due to the fact that we're currently in a heal off meta. So it's very crucial that in this meta you're going to be playing with medkits. Specifically, you guys want to have 6, as that is the max amount which you can play, obviously once the storm fully closes. Now it is very important to stay calm during these endgames and don't panic, because if you do begin to panic you won't successfully conserve your mats. Now conserving your mats is extremely important if you want to make it to the endgame, especially playing passive, because you're not going to get many kills for refreshes. Obviously if you don't conserve your mats you will end up wasting them, leading to inevitably needing a refresh. Now onto the other playstyle, we can talk about aggressive players. Now aggressive players also, I don't want you to take mid-game fights. The reason for this is because it's not simply worth it in case you die. Maybe if you're fighting or third-partying someone that has the medallion, which could give you an advantage to win the game, then yes, it might be worth it in that case if it is the Nitro medallion or something, for example. But for the most players in the lobby which are going to be playing your aggressive playstyle, I still want you to play safe until endgame, boxing up and refarming your mats. Obviously always make sure you box up near somewhere you can refarm your mats. Now for an aggressive loadout, I want to make sure that you try and carry both a spray weapon and a shotgun into endgame, as this allows you to pressure your opponent's walls, which also allows you to get refreshes easier, because most people won't have that spray weapon. They might be running just a single gun like a shotgun, obviously like the passive players will be doing. Now when it comes to endgame, you always want to be looking for refreshes, especially when you're around 200-300 mats. Now the reason for this is because you don't want to leave it until you literally have like 5 builds left, because that just isn't sustainable. You want to give yourself plenty of refresh to make sure that you find a plenty of time, to make sure you find a sustainable refresh. Also make sure that when it reaches the final zone you end up dropping out your spray weapon, as you no longer need that, and you can hold them, you can switch that for 3 medkits, then meaning you have a total of 6 medkits because you have 3 earlier on in the game. That then allows you to play heal off, so there's 2 separate ways of getting to the very bit of the heal off in the Solo Victory Cup finals for builds. Now moving on to the next tournament, we have a new tournament this season, which was the Squad Victory Cup. Now unfortunately at the time of recording there are only 2 of these left for the remainder of the season. However, if you do make it to the finals and you do win a game, each player of your squad earns $100, so these are important and I want you guys to focus and listen in. Now squads is much harder to qualify to the finals, as it is only top 150 on each region, and with that being over 15,000 teams which compete on the big regions such as EU every single one of these tournaments, that makes it incredibly difficult. difficult. Now, because it is so hard, it is crucial that you get multiple high elimination games in squads if you do want to qualify to the finals. Now, I do have a strategy to help you guys cope with this, because you see, in these types of tournaments, it's normally better to hang back in lower elo lobbies until around 35 to 40 minutes left. Obviously, you guys want to make sure that you're really smart with the timing of this, because it is only a 2-hour tournament. But once you are in these lower elo lobbies, you then want to have a massive W key game, which you're going to get loads of kills, and you're also going to get the win, and this is going to shoot you right up the leaderboard. Then you go into your last game of high elo right near the top of the leaderboard, and you only need to have one consistent good placement game in the high elo at the end of the 2 hours, and that will allow you to qualify through to the finals. Now, a little tip for finals is that it's pretty much always won by the team on height. This is because low ground gets really griefed, as most people, obviously being a whole squad, tarp through the entirety of the moving zones, and then when it comes to the end, everyone looks for refreshes, they all go to low ground, and it gets very griefed. So pretty much, like I say, height always wins. Now, how can you play this effectively? Well, you want to designate one player in your team to play the heal off, as most of these games always go down to heal off. So what you want to do is you want to designate one player to heal off, and then the rest of the players on your team go down onto the low ground and help grief everyone else that is trying to heal off. Therefore, you're the only team that has a player left healing off. If they do it correctly, you get the win, you all earn $100. Now, if you have reached this point in the video and you do feel like I'm just spewing information at you, please do feel free to watch the video again to make sure that you guys are taking notes and getting this all down correctly if you really are serious about making your first earnings. Now, let's move on to talking about the no-build solo victory cups. Now, these are very easy to qualify, as the top 7,000 players qualify through to the finals on the biggest region, which is EU. And in total on EU, in the last one of these tournaments, only 21,000 people played it. So that means that of the people that played, 1 in 3 people makes it to the finals, which means it's extremely easy to qualify, even if you just do this through camping in a bush, for example. Now, these tournaments are arguably the easiest to earn in because they don't allow you to build and aren't ping dependent, meaning often you can win games not only on your home region, for example, for me that would be EU, but you can also win games on other regions. There are also often very few people alive in the end game, so you can simply camp and hide your way towards the final zones. Then once you reach the final zones, you run out of natural hiding places, for example, such as bushes or in little crevices or something, you can use your bunkers and shield bubbles that you've got from looting up your entire game to allow you to have a place to fight from in the final zones. All that's important in these games is that you stay calm in the final moments, as winning a game fully depends on your aim and your ability to hit your shots in the final moments. Obviously, that's why it's important to stay calm. But like I've said, this is definitely the easiest tournament to make earnings in this season. So lastly, let's talk about what I believe to be the hardest tournament to make your first earnings in, and that's of course the Duo Cash Cups. Now, these are one of the funnest tournaments, but typically they're one of the hardest tournaments to make earnings, as only 50 teams qualify through to the finals on each region. Now, 99% of this time it is 50 pro teams that qualify, unfortunately, but if you are going to be successful and if you might be able to make the finals, which would be insane and you probably get loads of attention, it's probably better that you guys play it in this way, which I'm about to tell you. It's probably better to hang around in mid to low elo until the final hour of the tournament, where you would need to then drop a massive high elimination game, sort of what I talked about with the squad victory cups. Now, this is because again it allows you to shoot up the leaderboard, and then you have one chance in a pretty much pro lobby to play consistent and try and get a solid enough placement and enough points to get yourselves into that top 50 threshold. It is very difficult, and I'd say that often time is better spent elsewhere trying to make your first earnings in different tournaments such as the no build victory cups. If you guys did enjoy this video and find it helpful, please make sure you have dropped a like, subscribed as I'm trying to hit 15,000, and join the Discord server, link in description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out from me.